We're a few weeks into a brand new year, but even so, it's often helpful to go back to basics in order to reorientate oneself. Goodness knows I need it sometimes, but I also think this may be a good way for new people to get a grasp on what all the fuss is about, as well as expand on what many of us think we already know. This will also be a nice way for me to ease back into making these videos. Alrighty, let's get the easy stuff out of the way first. Cosplay is a portmanteau of the words costume and play. The term was coined by Nobuyuki Takahashi. Now, depending on which source you go by, Takahashi came up with the term after he attended the 1984 Worldcon and wrote about his experiences in an article in which he was impressed with the array of fan costumes on show. Even though they already had a word for it, translating masquerade, which was the term used back then, into Japanese felt too old-fashioned, considering what he saw, so he adopted the common Japanese practice of creating a contracted word, the one we all know and use today. Of course, playing dress-ups has been around long before that, as fans dressed up as their favourite genre characters at events as far back as the 1930s. It's perhaps been the last decade or so where the hobby has entered the mainstream as a phenomena, and even more recently, as a career option. The mixed heritage has played a part in the misconception about cosplay, people thinking it refers to only dressing up as anime characters or stories of Japanese origin. But as the name suggests, it's really just about playing and having fun wearing a costume. And that's pretty much it. Did we really need a whole video to explain this? Cosplay is seen in two different lights. The most common is that it's a fun pastime or a hobby for many fans. The part that many seem to forget is that cosplay is an art form, a creative outlet. In fact, it's both of these things, but the former is the most promoted definition, so much so that I think it's to the detriment of the craft. Whether it be a bit of fun or an exercise in the deep and meaningful, cosplay is about expression, about expressing oneself, one's passion, and interest. I like this character, so I want to dress up like them. I love this story, so I want to be one of these characters. It originates from the same place as wearing your favourite team colours, the number of your favourite player, or the t-shirt of your favourite band. Unfortunately, we often trivialise that expression by downplaying it in front of others, usually as a result of some drama that has struck a community or as a throwback to when we were made fun of for our interests. And by doing so, we do a disservice to ourselves and each other. The frivolous fun aspect is repeated so often, we forget the other motivations. It's sort of like how bat nipples is so associated with the film Batman and Robin. Many have forgotten that Val Kilmer's first suit in the previous film featured them too. Like, seriously, no one remember that? If it's just a bit of fun, then we tend to forget the effort people put into their work. If it's just a hobby, then we ignore that hobbies can be turned into careers. In fact, other fan expressions have the potential to become sources of income. Some fans write, some sing and perform, and some draw. None of these seem to attract the same type of eye as cosplay when it comes to making money. What I'm trying to get at is art can be fun, art can be meaningful, art can be bought and sold. It all comes down to you. Despite the broad encompassing definitions, as human beings, we can never help ourselves and will always come up with pointless criteria that gives us a reason to put things into boxes. It's just the way our minds work. One of the more pedantic distinctions is that drawn between being a costumer and being a cosplayer. Now, we're talking here about fans in a hobby. Outside of a traditional professional context, i.e. outside of being paid to make costumes for other people and productions, there is zero distinction between costuming and cosplaying. It's really all about a preference for one label over another. And in that sense, I can understand that. I mean, I'll bite. When I began doing this over a decade ago, I had a preference for describing myself as a costumer too, but over time, I came to realise it meant the same thing. Having fun dressing up. To define the two as distinct, it's about as pointless as arguing the difference between Trekkie and Trekker.
Actually, we're called Trekkians, but yeah, I am a Trekkie.
Are we going to take a trek? We're not a couple of Trekkies, right? Then we're watching the trek, but the Trekker then is coming with it.
The pedantry doesn't stop there, mind you, because cosplay has a reputation of being about wearing costumes. Remember what I said about repeating the same thing over and over? There are those that want to be specific about making their own stuff, so they now coin the term cosmaker, which is alright, but I think it's a tad redundant. But then again, I also think the term social media influencers is marketing way. So you want to cosplay, huh? Cool! Go right ahead, gear up and go have fun. There are plenty of places you can buy costumes, plenty of tutorials that can help you get started making things, but there's just one piece of advice I would give. What is it you want from this? Your motivation determines your experience and your expression. It determines how much time, money, and effort you want to put into this, because it shapes what you do and who you choose to dress up as. Because you think something looks cool, looks like a fun escape, a great building challenge, or the culmination of a childhood dream. At the end of the day, that's all down to you and you alone. Some people cosplay for a fun day out. Others turn it into a career. Some dress up to help inspire others, and some dress up to boost their own confidence. Many cosplay to socialize and meet like-minded fans, and some even end up meeting their heroes. Regardless of whether it's making or performing, cosplay is about expression, your geeky passion, and creative side. It's about telling the world what inspires you, what drives you, entertains and influences you. Whatever the reason, every cosplayer is ultimately declaring, I love this. Here endeth the sermon.